John Day, Oregon, and this is the Kam Wah Chung company. It is the only thing left of a booming Chinatown. In the late 1800s, this was the third largest Chinatown in America. Over 2,000 Chinese lived here, and I would be standing in the middle of a bustling street right now in 1885 or 1890. Most of the Chinese worked 2 miles up the road here in Canyon City in the gold mines. But by about 1900, the gold was played out, and by 1910, the 2,000 plus Chinese that were here dwindled down to a few dozen, and 2 of those people lived here. This was the home of Doc Hay and Long An. They lived here for about 60 or 70 years, until about 1942 when Doc Hay died. The top floor up there was actually a completely separate house. They bought the house and moved it up there in the hopes of making a boarding house up there. They never got around to it, and it was only used for storage, so the tour doesn't go up there. One interesting thing about the exterior is that if you look at the windows and the doors, they're all covered with scrap iron that Long An and Doc Hay had scavenged. So apparently there was just a tremendous amount of animosity and bigotry against the Chinese, and drunken cowboys would literally ride down the street shooting into people's homes. And this was probably the safest house in all of Chinatown, and apparently lots of Chinese would come and huddle here when things got particularly bad because it was so safe. The most amazing thing about this place is the inside. After Doc Hay died, and I believe it was 1942, this place was locked up, and it was stayed locked up for about 40 years. And everything in it is as it was then. There's actually like fruit, 60, 70-year-old fruit, a pomegranate and a tangerine sitting there as offerings. As you walk in the front door, the first thing is Doc Hay's area. And there's just all this amazing medicinal herbs and things directly from China. And they're not even sure what all of it is yet. Yeah, this is where he would have seen his patients. And beyond that is the storeroom for Long An. So he had a whole store in there as well. And off to the side over here on this left is where Doc Hay's bedroom was. And as you come over to this side, there's a kitchen, a full kitchen, and there's actually a boarding area. So Chinese would have paid 5 cents for a meal and a place to sleep. And the place to sleep was just one quarter of a bed. So you really got packed in like sardines there. On this far side over here, this is actually a newer structure that was built, and this is Long An's bedroom. Because it wasn't often safe to leave, everything they needed was inside. So there's actually a water pump inside that goes down to a well. So they had water inside. They could lock themselves up at night. They had a place to cut wood. Basically everything you need to survive is in there. So they wouldn't have to go out at night when things were the most dangerous for them. So Doc Hay, by all accounts, was a very generous and philanthropic kind of person. They actually had found $23,000 in uncashed checks in his bedroom when he died. And they believe that it was because he knew that the people that he was treating had very little money, and so he chose not to cash those checks, but allowed them to write the checks to save face. So kind of really interesting hearing a story about him. Long An, on the other hand, was a consummate businessman and would do anything to make a few dollars. So he owned the very first car dealership in the area here in John Day. He had the first gas station. He did pretty well for himself. Pretty typical immigrant story there. I just can't get over how well preserved the interior of that place is, and how many neat little knickknacks are all over, calendars and just the different foodstuffs that were left abandoned in the 1940s. Yeah, definitely you should stop by. You can only get inside by tour, and they offer tours every day except for like major holidays. So just a block up the street from where the actual house is the interpretive center. So you'll want to start here to get your ticket to go on the tour. And also there's really, really interesting exhibits inside about the two men. So, and the exhibit also encompasses like the whole time during, you know, the gold rush, when this place was the third largest Chinese town in America. So it's kind of amazing. John Day, Oregon. This is the Grant County Historical Museum. It's $3.50 to come in if you're a veteran, $4 otherwise. It's really a super interesting collection of just everything, photographs, just knickknacks all over. So this is Canyon City, and Canyon City was founded basically in 1862 when gold was discovered. And the gold was played out by about 1900, but this town still remains. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from John Day, Oregon. I'm going to go in and check out this really cool log cabin here. Small little cabin. If you're into living small, this would have been it. So this is the bedroom, and right here in the corner are these really old skis. So obviously this place at one time belonged to like an 1890s ski bum. This is the old jail. So apparently it was moved here from Baker County, where it had resided in a ghost town for many years in 1964, without the permission of anyone else. So it was illegally moved, but ended up staying here nonetheless. Petey and I are back at Clyde Holliday State Park in Oregon. It's right outside of John Day. We stayed here last night, and I was just going to stay here for one night. But then, on a whim, I went and had the tires put on the car, or on my camper. And then we stopped at the different museums. So I just decided to come back and spend the night again, just because it's so easy, and this park is so nice. It's really nice. So Petey and I will hang out here. He sees a dog. He wants to go bark at the dog. So we're going to go for a walk along the river. The John Day River is right there. So we'll take a walk on the river. It'll be fun. So Petey and I walked out on this trail that goes along the river, and it's actually a pretty good trail. It's like, I don't know, maybe a little less than a mile, but down here at the end is this bird nest, and there's like I think it's like a falcon or something. I'm not really like a falcon or a hawk. I'm not an ornithologist, so I don't know, but it's kind of amazing. They're raising their babies up there. And there's this other ground bird that was doing this flopping thing. It was clearly trying to keep me away from its home here somewhere in the grass. If I can get the little flopping bird, the fake flop on video, I will. I'll see what I can do. One of my favorite parts of the evening is after we've eaten, just have a little glass of wine with my bestie, giving my little bestie a little bit of love and some belly rubs. Oh my babies, you love the belly rubs, don't you? You love the belly rubs. This is how life should be. You know, enjoying your best friend's company and whatever else makes you happy. I love you, babies.